Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, unless you're under 18. Welcome back to the Comedy Collision Podcast. I am your host, Nick Hannick. This is episode 82. 82, the big wazoo, something about Baloo. I don't know. All right, here we go. We're back into it. Okay. All right. We are back. 82nd episode of the Comedy Collision Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Hannick. Very special guest today, my man. This is cool for me. I've been following this guy for a long time now, a few years. That's a long time in my life. I'm very young, so 2 or 3 years that's a lot of my life. He's a dating coach. He's running calls with men to help them with dating advice, free calls. Go to trippadvicecoaching.com to book those. I mean, that's honestly a great asset to have these days in this dating world because it's crazy. And he has his own podcast, How to Talk to Girls podcast. If you don't know what that's about, you got to kind of do the math then, I guess. But Tripp Kramer, everybody. Tripp Kramer.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It's
Appreciate
my first podcast holding a mic.
I think that was either a clever insult or that.
No, it makes me feel a little bit just like a slightly more important.
There we go. I love it. We do that for a living with stand-up, so we're hoping that you can get into our shoes a little
bit. Sure. Let's do it. We're cracking jokes before.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So I don't know when I came on your radar. Maybe it was when I just DM'd you today, but I've messaged. So Tripp does advice for dating for men, usually men. Is it just men, or do girls ever reach out about men?
Girls do DM me when they have questions, but it's very rare. So
Okay.
it's mostly single heterosexual men, and the odd lesbian or heterosexual female, the odd gay guy will reach out, but it's just mostly. I mean, when you look at my content,
sure,
I'm clearly talking to men who are looking to attract women. So those are the guys who reach out. If you're confused, you can look at any of my thumbnails on my YouTube channel, and you'll have a good idea.
Yeah, how to talk to girls. I don't know if that's for the gay man. It feels like that's more heterosexual based. Has gay guys reached out for that?
We actually just recently a gay guy did reach out to get help, and here's the thing: is we don't normally help those guys, and those guys don't normally reach out because they don't really have problems meeting men. You can just get on Grindr and meet a guy in 10 minutes, no problem, because it's a bunch of men.
Confident, they know what they're looking for. There's not that game. That's a great point.
So it's just men trying to meet each other. So they don't have. So gay men would have the problem that a woman would have because all these guys are sleeping with each other.
Gotcha.
So they want to know, okay, who's serious for a relationship? And that's the female's problem in dating is, okay, is this guy serious for a relationship or is he just using me for a hookup?
This is why we got you on. I mean, you talk about a guy that knows what he's talking about right now.
I've been doing it for over a decade, so I better, or it's embarrassing.
I want to interview you, but at the same time, I got like 100 questions I want to ask about me, like not me personally, but just like what guys are wondering. So it's going to be a little hodgepodge of that.
Yeah.
And then also, what was the other thing? Oh, we got the Reddit thing I just pulled up. We do. So we do Reddit advice on here. We'll do that at the end though. But I want to talk about this is so cheesy, but to start about like the beginning, like you in high school, college, are you just like crushing it with chicks? Are you like just a guy? What's that looking like? How are you with like girls when high school?
Yeah, so quite the opposite.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Tripp advice grew out of not me being good with chicks. It grew out of me not being good with chicks. So this was me in high school. I had a lot of girlfriends.
Okay.
But that's, like I was good at being friends with them.
Oh, so like literally emphasis on the friend part.
Yeah, it's a space between girl and friend, not girlfriend one word.
That's a big space, man.
Yeah,
that is a big space.
Yeah, it was a brutal space, one that got to the point where it got a little bit annoying when you get into the college years.
Yeah,
and then into your early 20s where you're just not having that much success.
For sure. So even college was a bumpy road too.
Yeah, college was a bumpy road too, and I always had this desire to just get good.
Yeah.
With women in dating. I don't know. I guess most guys do. I don't think I'm alone in that.
No.
But what happened was the desire really grew when I went to Los Angeles, right when I left college.
Okay.
But this is pre-Tinder.
Sure.
This is just, you want to meet a girl, you have to go out.
Yeah. Wow.
And
That's
imagine
old
no
school.
social circle.
Yeah.
So usually you have people who then they have friends.
Sure.
And then they have friends. So then you kind of meet people through people, and maybe you guys all go out together. Maybe you're all at a bar together, and then you get introduced to another person, and that's also kind of old school.
Yeah.
But now I'm in Los Angeles, and there's nobody around. I have like 2 friends.
Okay.
So I don't have any sort of group of friends, and it's really hard in LA to make a group of friends. So dating just got really difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is where I started looking stuff up online. And just understanding and trying to research like, well, what makes a guy attractive.
Sure.
Like this was me going through my like bachelor's of how does this work, and can you be able to learn this stuff without being the most I don't know, I was 23, skinny guy, no confidence.
Yeah, you're not Taylor Lautner kind of situation.
Exactly. Yeah,
cool.
exactly.
Yeah. Why did I go to Taylor Lautner?
Yeah, why
Whatever.
did you go to Taylor Lautner?
That's a question we'll look into later. Totally get that. And when you're on this, so now, for example, if you're looking up advice, you're coming up, right? Your content.
Yeah, that's why.
What's coming up?
It's really trippy, no pun intended.
Yeah.
But it is, because I was the guy looking it up, and now if you look up dating advice,
You're coming up.
for even like 30 minutes, you'll find something from me.
And what are you finding in that era when nothing was on?
All pickup artist stuff.
Okay.
Which isn't really around anymore,
Feels
because
it's
it's either creepy or it's just it's not it's not appropriate. It's not PC.
Yeah, they're probably also aware of it now too when it's happening a little bit more than they probably were.
Yeah, for sure. Like I was I read The Game. It was, every guy at that point had The Game in 2008. Like every guy read it, and you're just like, wow, this stuff is crazy. Can you really use this stuff? So I started to use it, and it totally backfired on me.
Okay.
So I was starting to use these pickup techniques, and these girls, they called me out. So this is them calling me out in 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
When they're like, is that a pickup line? And I'm like, I thought the whole point of this stuff was for it to work.
Yeah.
Not to be called out. So that was the only material out there. So I did learn some stuff from there. Like you do learn about, male and female dynamics. But then I had to go out there and learn stuff myself and get over my fear of talking to women and learn how to flirt and put myself out there and build confidence. And so I went through that journey for probably about a solid year and a half. I was going out 5 to 6 nights a week.
And is this pushing yourself to get out there? Like, were you
inside?
This isn't who I want. This isn't me, but I want to be
100%.
Yeah.
I did like to socialize. I partied in college, but I was partying with the people that I knew, my friends.
Course,
I didn't
comfortable. Yeah. Inner group. Yeah.
Blinders on. Like I wasn't looking at any other girl that I didn't personally know because I was just too nervous to talk to.
Wow, man. That is long ways you've come, because that is surprising. Yeah. So you're out there. You're pushing yourself to get out there. Is there a point where you just now? How many years are you doing this? And are you seeing success? Like you're like, okay, I'm actually making progress here?
Yeah, I saw progress, and I saw it within about 3 months because I was, like I said, I was going out 5 to 6 nights a week. So
that's crazy.
It's like working out. Like, you can work out once a week for 3 months and you might see something, but imagine working out like 4 to 5 times a week for 3 months. You're going to see some changes.
Exactly.
Right? You put enough reps into something, you'll see some changes. Yeah. So those changes really encoured me. So I was like, let's keep going. Let's do more. Like, let's go out. Let's learn some more stuff. Let's really get out of my comfort zone. And then I was able to attract women I never thought I was able to attract. And then I became just obsessed with the material.
Okay.
Like I loved it. I loved learning and I loved talking about it. I loved helping my friends. And I was just like, I don't know, when you find something that works.
A passion, it sounds like.
Yeah, and you're like, and then you know it so well, you almost have this like urge to be like, let me help you. Like, I can tell someone else how to do it. I figured it out.
Yeah.
Why can't other people figure it out?
100%.
So that's kind of where it came to, and then I started Tripp Advice.
Wow. Okay, so how long is that span from day one of that first 3 months to I'm launching YouTube is where you started, I assume?
No, I actually started on a podcast.
You started a podcast before YouTube.
Yes.
Back in the day, I feel like it's usually reversed. It's YouTube first, then podcast.
Yes. It was a podcast because, no one was doing it. I had a buddy, very tech savvy, who he had a podcast.
Okay.
And so I was giving him dating advice one day, and he goes, dude, this should be a podcast. And I was like, okay, we could do that. Sure, let's try it out. So he's like, what should it be called? And I don't know how I came up with this, but I just called it Dudes Talking About Chicks. Dude. Another very clear name. Very, obvious name.
The marketing team.
It's all up here. It's all up here.
Dudes Talking About Chicks, which is now what Dudes Talking to? What's the podcast today?
How to Talk to Girls.
How to Talk to Girls.
But it was a different one. So that one started.
Yes.
And that got me going with giving advice, and that gave me a new confidence to then give the advice.
Yep.
And then I started Tripp Advice, the company. That was in 2009 was the podcast. Tripp Advice started in 2011. But then my buddy who I was doing the podcast with, he moved away. So he was out of LA, podcast stopped, and I didn't know how to start a pod. It wasn't as easy as today starting a podcast. There was a lot more to it. You couldn't just buy like a mic on Amazon for $50. It was a whole thing. So I was like, all right, well, I should probably just start a YouTube channel because I know how to I know how to create video. Yeah. That's a little bit easier.
For sure.
Now today, it's funny if it's reversed. Today, super easy to start a podcast and a lot more to it if you want to start a YouTube channel.
Absolutely,
But yeah, then I started the YouTube channel in 2011, 2012, around there.
Sure. And success, was that immediately with that, or did you have to kind of
back to the same story, the grind, right? Like, okay, more reps, putting out a lot of videos, and nothing really hit for a while. Then I started to buy courses on YouTube marketing. This is now back in 2012.
Yeah, you're in.
And now what was it? The first video that hit that went not viral, but just started to get traction on YouTube. Yeah, was like send this text message to a girl.
That's perfect.
So that one started to blow up, and then I started to put out more content, and then it started to grow from there. So that probably took a good year before growth was happening.
That makes total sense. You know how many times I've been like, what should I say? Is this something? How many times I texted, what should I say to a buddy? And then
it's still a problem.
I'm 26. Yeah, it's like I'm like, dude, is this the best thing to say? I don't want to say anything that's like, how do you play it correctly? That's, I think, what a lot of guys are asking themselves. And now they got you doing it. Now, have you seen the movie Hitch?
Yes.
And you get that comparison ever? Or has it ever come up in my first one?
99.9% of the times. I can't tell if you were joking.
Do you? I was a little sarcastic because I assumed you knew.
That was so dry, I couldn't tell.
When did it start? Yeah. So like, how do you feel about that? Do you like being like, yeah, it is like Hitch, or do you be like, because it is
fine
to a degree.
It's not. It's not. It is, but it's not. Yes, Hitch is a dating coach. He helps guys
I guess that's where the
get
degree
girls.
I was going for.
So, but not that I would expect anyone to know this. It doesn't like bother me. I would say the same thing because who knows what it. The only dating coach in pop culture is Hitch.
The only one
pretty much
I can think of. Yeah.
So
Dr. Drew, maybe. So no, that was like advice, and that was years ago.
That was. I think it was too niche though, because like Loveline,
and it wasn't a movie.
No, it wasn't a movie. Yeah. It was a radio show. It was syndicated.
Yeah.
But you had to be at a certain age listening to the radio at that time to know what that was. Otherwise, and then it just stopped.
And that's a great word. Niche. It's just right. You had to be there.
It's funny too, because Dudes Talking About Chicks was modeled after Loveline, because Loveline, it was Dr. Drew who gave the advice.
Sure.
Then you had Adam Carolla, who was the comedian, right?
Who's
so hilarious. The comic relief.
Yeah.
So that was the same thing with me and my friend. He was comic relief, and joking around, and I was Dr. Drew, just being a little bit more serious and giving the advice.
I love that. Yeah. Is he doing comedy now today?
No, he owns a marijuana software company that is actually doing very well.
I love it. That's great. That is somewhat comedic in its own right, I think. So he made it. That's great. No, that's fantastic. Yeah. So you're doing the coaching, you're doing the advice. Have you ever, like, this is just I guess this is more of a random question than to keep going with where we're going, but like, you see the shows like The Bachelor, right? And The Bachelorette.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like you could just get on that show and just like crush it and be like, I got the background knowledge that I know what to say and how to say it, and I could take the cake.
Like I could go on
You
the Bachelor.
as a contest on the Bachelorette. And
Okay,
then
so
beat the 12. Is it 12?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I think I would do okay. I don't really look like those guys, though.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's
so. I don't know if the producers would even have me on in the first place, or push even for me to win something like that. But
for your career, if you won that, do you know how to get a dating coach who goes in proves he is the best of the best? I mean that's not even proving it. It's just adding an accolade.
That would be the ultimate.
Yeah.
However, I do not trust reality TV.
I'm with you on that. I think that's fair.
They don't give a crap about you at all. And I've done a little bit of reality stuff.
Yeah.
And I also watch some reality TV, and so no trust.
A guy who had like little confidence, like you said, moving to LA, new friend circle, to then go out and do something. I think that most men are like, that takes balls to be like, I'm a dating coach. That's a lot of belief in myself, and you got to be confident, have a good ego with it, and obviously you don't want to you run that line of am I too cocky, which I don't think you ever come off like that. But I mean, sometimes when you say that maybe a bar, people could interpret it. I just think it takes a lot of balls, and
it does. It's funny because I think about that sometimes. That it doesn't just take a lot of balls to go out and try to get good with women. That's hard enough as it is. But then to say, I'm a dating coach. Yeah. Even when I say it, I cringe, but I don't have any other better name. Sure. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
I coach dating. And you know me, dating. I like to have very simple titles.
Yeah.
So,
which is great. I mean, I think you find them easy. That's how I found them. It's perfect.
Yeah. I mean, how to talk to girls.
When you first said it, when you said it the first time, do you like family or?
It was really weird.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean,
listen, I was like 26 years old. I don't know if your brain is just fully formed maybe by that time.
I don't feel like it's formed right now. I'm
26. Exactly. So when I was 26, saying it, I mean, I think I'm a little crazy. I think there's there's a little crazy in me. Like I definitely have a high tolerance for risk.
Yeah.
And clearly, so when I was calling myself that, I was still nervous though. I wasn't fully like, look at me, everybody. It was a very slow reveal, but I had to at that point be enough confident in the fact that it's like, you know what? Fuck it. Like if people laugh at that, or they think it's stupid, or how could someone, what are your qualifications? I knew that my stuff helped people. And I got that confidence from the Dudes Talking About Chicks podcast, because I was helping guys, and guys were emailing in, I love your advice, I got a girlfriend. And I was like, you know what? Of course, I'm still human. So part of me was a little bit like cringing at myself, calling myself that. But then another part of me was, well, screw it. I don't care. What do I care what people think?
Yeah.
I'm helping guys.
That's great.
And that's great. That's
really
what pushed me through. So
are you so when you told your girlfriend you're a dating coach, how do they react to that? Or do you tell girls, or were you telling girls that?
So that girlfriend, I started being a dating coach while we were dating.
Okay.
And she was cool. I mean, I'll give it to her. She was super supportive, all for it.
Sweet.
And she was definitely a big, push to do it.
Motivator.
She was a graphic designer, so she did websites. So I told her, she's like, I love this idea. I'll build you a website. I'm like, nice. This is great.
Yeah.
So, that was really helpful. But then after that, we broke up. So then I had other girlfriends after that, and it was hit or miss. So, one girlfriend, she just could not handle it to the point where we ended up breaking up over it, because she was so insecure that because I knew how to meet women and teach it, I could cheat on her at any moment. So it was not very comfortable for her. Also, like I interview women, and I'm very involved with other females, and for her insecurity, it didn't really help.
Totally get that. You got to have trust. Yeah, she has to trust you, and you, and vice versa.
Yeah,
for that to work, and I could definitely see that being a problem if there's no trust there. If that trust is not there in the communication, which again, you seem like a very open, communicative guy. I don't see that it was on your end, but
all my materials out there for the world to see.
I won't let you bash, right?
No, that's okay.
Slander. That's great.
So that didn't work out, and
yeah, because it was funny you bring that up. I saw, and might be a great time for a plug. You're doing like this Vegas trip, right? Is that correct with these guys? Yeah. And I was like, that looks awesome. But then I was like, I think the guy has a girlfriend. And to be like, I'm taking these guys to Vegas to go meet girls. I'm like, that's a lot of trust she has in him.
Well, to be fair, I'm actually not the one going on the Vegas
You're
trip.
not going to be with him.
No, it's another coach who's doing it.
Gotcha.
But I also still do about once a year or so, I'll take out a guy.
Yeah, you're going to, yeah, okay.
So I still will do that, and we'll go and do some approaches. But I'm not doing the approaches. They're doing the approaches.
Yeah,
but
no,
yeah,
I get that.
That you need a lot of trust there because
wow.
Who says I'm not doing the approaches?
Yeah, you're telling them.
And hitting on girls and whatever. But yeah.
Sweet. So here's another question for you. Actually prompted a little bit from you, a clip you posted today. You posted a $500 bottle of cologne.
Yeah.
That's it. So, and you're talking about how it helps, but again, you got to have the conversation with them and really, it's not all about the cologne, but it feels like in today's age, like how much is it where it's evolved in dating where, you got to have the nice cologne, maybe a nice watch on or some jewelry or maybe a Kith shirt or something like designer brand. Like how much is materials playing into dating today? Like, is that making a big difference or?
Yeah, I mean, it does help, right? If you drive a nice car, you have a nice watch, you smell really good, and you wear a really expensive cologne, it's going to help.
Sure.
My whole thing is that it's just not going to do everything for you.
Yeah.
And it also could potentially attract the wrong women.
Okay.
So it is not necessarily about having to, obviously, it's attraction. So you want to look your best. You want to understand how to groom yourself properly. You do want to smell good. You want to have good hygiene. And I do talk about that. But there's only so far you can go with that. Like, that's it. That's the advice. There's nothing really to say about that. You get that down, but you also still need to have a personality that's going to attract a woman. They look at your behavior. You don't want to be creepy. You don't want to be weird. You want to be charismatic.
Yep.
You want to be confident. So all those things are true. And you need to, honestly, the real advice and the advice that I give is you need to do it all.
Sure.
If you want to be the most successful with women, you need to look your best and you need to have behavior that is attractive to women. And once you get that down, then you'll have more options. Now, today, it's becoming a little bit more difficult because online dating has really made it where women and men, it's like exaggerating how mating happens.
Yeah.
Okay. So how does mating happen? Well, you have women who always are the ones who, well, they say, I did not make this up, but they say women are the gatekeepers of sex. Men are the gatekeepers of marriage. Okay. So in the very beginning of dating, you're not getting married. So it's really all kind of about sex.
Yeah.
So, and connection. So women, they have a lot of guys who are going after them. So they have a lot of choice. And women are more selective inherently. They don't want to just sleep with every single guy. Yeah. They have risk involved. They can get pregnant, right? There can be a lot of issues involved for a woman to go through that process.
Sure.
A man, he doesn't get pregnant. So, he can sleep with as many women as he wants. And besides, of course, STDs, there's not much risk involved.
Yeah.
So because of this, women are inherently selective. Now, when you put online dating into the mix and you get men and women who are swiping on each other, there has been data that has shown that women are only swiping on 4% of men because now they have so much opportunity to meet so many men and they're getting swiped on so much.
Sure.
So a lot of them, even if they're not that attractive, have almost like a false view of their value. So they go, oh, so even like a girl who's maybe not super attractive, she's still getting hit on by so many guys. She goes, oh, I can have so many guys. So she becomes even more selective. So now all these different women at all different values are increasingly selective.
Yeah.
So that's making it harder for men. And it's also making it harder on the women.
Sure.
So women are like, where are the good guys? And then there's the joke on the internet, oh, all the good guys are in the friend zone.
Yeah.
Or in your friend zone. Right? So that's where all the good guys are. And then women are hating on men are hating on women because they are giving up because they think they need to have, they say 6 figures, 6 inches, six feet tall, and you need all these things to be able to get a woman. And there is some reality to that for sure. You're going to be toast on a dating app if you have shitty pictures, you have a job that doesn't present itself as one that can make good money, and you're 5'5", it's going to be really tough for you. And these guys are getting really pissed off. You still, here's a plug with Tripp Advice. There are ways that you could almost, you could increase still your matches and do very well online, but it's still very hard. So guys have to work extra hard today to be able to meet women. Here's a funny story.
Yeah.
Or an interesting story, I should say. I started Tripp Advice in 2011. Okay. Tinder comes out in 2012. And here am I with this business that is helping men meet women in person. Online dating wasn't a thing. Tinder comes out, and it's so easy to meet women.
Yeah.
Wow. And I go, what are the odds of this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm crushed. Like, this is guys aren't going to need to reach out to me anymore because they have online dating.
Right in their hand.
Women that way.
Yep.
Yeah. Go to the bathroom, sit there and swipe all day.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to
you have
dress,
to look nice.
Look good, get the confidence, build yourself to go over and talk to that girl.
Yeah.
So I don't know for sure, but it did seem like maybe over the couple years that it did seem it was a little tough. But then a couple years after that, it started to have the opposite effect, is that online dating actually has made things harder, not easier. And so many guys, I mean, if I ever put any online dating advice out on a TikTok or Instagram, tons of comments. Online dating sucks. Don't meet women online, because it's just so hard for them.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, 4% of girls are swiping. So it's like, of course it's hard. And then also not to mention if you're not paying for the app, you only get a certain amount of likes. It's the odds and the numbers are against you. So I think you're right. I think you got to go out in real life and meet them. And to do that, though, obviously it takes a lot of courage to go out there, and you got to push yourself. When you're going out there and a guy's meeting them, I feel like sometimes a guy feels like he needs an in, right? He sees a pretty girl over there. He doesn't want to go over there and just bother her. For a guy to go approach a girl, does he need an in? How does he, or can he just go over there coldly? And then if he is going to go over there, just kind of coldly doing it, what's the best way to approach that?
Yeah, guys don't need an in.
Don't need an in.
They don't need an in. They don't need a pickup line. They don't need an in. They don't need indicator of interest or an IOI. They don't need a choosing signal. You don't know, and maybe you don't know these terms, but
I didn't know what
for
the
the
hell
people
you're
watching,
talking about.
I'm trying to speak multiple languages at once. You don't need any of that stuff.
Okay.
You can just go up and say hello.
What was it? IOI?
Yeah, IOI, it's a pickup term, indicator of interest.
Love that. Gonna use it. Love it. IOI. Okay. So they go over there, and is it just as simple as like, hey, I thought you were pretty, let me buy you a drink? Or is it like, is there something special to say?
I mean, that's what most guys think. And that's what I thought too a long time ago.
Sure.
Can I buy you a drink? You look cute. You look pretty. You're beautiful. I had to come and say hi. You're beautiful. No compliments. No, can I buy you a drink? Just going up and saying, hey, I wanted to come meet you.
Wow.
That's it.
No compliments.
Nope.
I feel like compliments are a big thing, no?
No, because girls are getting complimented enough, and so it really doesn't have much of an effect anymore. A girl gets complimented by a guy, she's heard this a million times, especially if she is a woman who's pretty attractive and you're going over there because she's attractive. She's heard that a bunch. So you actually want to withhold that compliment so you can get her to chase you a little bit. Because usually it's the other way around, right? As guys, what are we doing? We're going out. And we've heard you probably heard this term, chasing tail.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Right. Who's chasing tail? Men.
The men, yeah. The guys.
Right.
The boys.
Not women. So
never.
Women don't like to be chased.
Okay.
It's not attractive to them. It feeds their ego. They feel good about it, but it doesn't mean that they're going to like you. What they don't know is that women actually like to chase, because if they're chasing, that means that they have a guy who's valuable and they want to be with a guy who has high value.
Yeah.
So they want to be chased. Therefore, you need to do things to get her to chase you. One of them is don't start with a compliment. Even refrain from compliments at all.
Yeah.
You don't need to compliment. It's so funny. It sounds like such polarizing advice, because when you say that, it sounds like, wow, that guy's an asshole. It's like, why do you have to compliment?
Sure.
You know, I'd like to get into a debate with someone about that.
She's not complimenting you back. I mean, It's
probably
just you doing that, and
I mean,
that's it.
probably not. Wow, you just made a really good point. Actually, look at that sound. You got a sound effect?
Yeah, we got the now it's all over. Hold on.
And now it's
There
all
you go.
over.
It's
I
going.
can't hear it, but
No, you can't.
um,
No, it's Ray Liotta at the end of Goodfellas saying now it's all over.
that's great.
Um,
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. I've never heard that advice. I've never heard any advice. You always hear that cheesy advice. Oh, okay. So if you like a girl,
Yeah.
here's what you got to do. You got to go over to her. You got to compliment her. I've never heard that advice given to a woman. Okay, if you like a guy, you know what you want to do? Go over and compliment. No, what do women say? No, he should be chasing you,
Yeah.
right?
All the time.
You shouldn't be
That's what
going
you
over and complimenting guys. No, that's not the way to do things. No, he should be complimenting you.
hear. Yeah.
Well, guess what? You compliment a girl, you do it too much, you go overboard. You're going to look needy and weak in chasing her.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah. And again, and like you said, it's not ever vice versa. That's a great point. What is, might be a general question, but like, what is the most common misconception that men have about dating right now?
Good question. I think the biggest misconception is that dating is really hard.
Yeah.
And that women are just impossible these days, which they're right, but not to the degree that they think. They're just not putting in the right effort. And some guys have just completely given up. There's even a whole movement based on men giving up.
Wow.
Have you heard of this?
What's the movement?
It's called Men Going Their Own Way.
It sounds like one of your podcasts.
Except the way in my podcast is to talk to girls.
Yes,
Not,
exact opposite.
not that.
So a
So
full sentence.
yeah, so a lot of guys have given up, and I don't really care that they've given up. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to preach out here. No, guys,
Sure.
you got to keep trying.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. I want to talk to the guys who just naturally like, no, I do care.
I think
And-
that's in us to want to care.
Yeah.
Usually.
I hope.
Yeah.
And I will attract in my content those guys.
Oh, for sure.
I'm not
Yeah.
here to give unsolicited advice.
100%. What you're doing is something that's always going to be around. Even if this group is forming, guys are always going to be looking for advice to date. Also, always wanting to date, and you're in the field of let me help you with that.
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
And it's going to be a need for sure. That's going to always be around. But yeah, and the double. And I was thinking about it too while you're answering that. The double texting is definitely a way of probably not maybe directly, but it's a way of chasing. as a
Correct.
man. I'm guessing you're against the double texting.
I am.
Yeah, and that's hard.
You're getting
it's
it.
hard, man. It's hard to not double text.
It's it's really hard. You want some advice?
Tripp, hit me with the advice.
Okay. So there's two ways to go about this. I have two routes you can go.
Yeah.
First of all, just remember, every person is looking at their text messages.
Okay.
Okay, so everyone's looking. So whatever you texted the girl, she read it.
Yep.
And if she likes you, even if she's busy in that moment, you ever hear that like, oh, she's busy in the moment.
Yeah, of
I
course.
totally forgot.
Wasn't on my phone.
And that's that could be true, but if you like the person, you end up remembering it a little bit later on because you were excited that they texted you. So the girl's going to be excited and she will respond back. So if she doesn't respond to that text, she's just probably just not interested, and you should just move on. And you should move on to women who have a high level of interest. That's route one. I think 98% of guys should go that way.
Okay.
However,
The 2%.
if you really want a text message that you can say word for word, that you can just throw out there when you're like, well, we went on a few dates though, like things went well, she's not texting back, and you just want a little closure.
Yeah.
You want something to just settle your soul a little bit, and you have to do that double text. You can just say this. It's really simple. Just text her and say, hey, still interested in connecting sometime.
That's it.
That's it.
Hey, still interested in connecting sometime.
Yeah. But when do you say that? You don't say that an hour after your initial text.
No. Like
You say that days later.
Yeah.
Days later. Maybe even a week later.
I'm happy we're on the same page about days. That's
So this is like yeah, exactly.
not hours.
Not minutes.
Yeah, that's that's a good place to be there for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, totally get that.
Again, I don't love it. It's a little cringe advice too, because it's like it's a little bit chasing, but I know that some guys are just not going to be able to handle it, and they're like, I know, I'm double texting.
Sure.
So if you have to do it, you can't hold yourself back. that's the one to do, because that's saying to her, we still doing this or not? And
you'll get hopefully a direct response. And if not, getting a response.
No response.
Even more direct response.
Yeah, no response is a response.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's fantastic. Wow.
You can try that. Or you're just dating enough women that you don't even care.
Sure.
And you're only going to be filtering for the women who have the highest level of interest, because isn't that who we want to surround ourselves with anyways?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, wow. Okay, so I got my advice then. Finally on the show, I got my personal
money.
I'll do a handshake. That's all I got. I only got a handshake. Great. No. What about first dates? So, for example, a lot of guys are always trying to plan a great first date. They don't know, do I go too simple or do I go over the top with it? Do you have a Tripp Kramer first date guide?
I have a multi-date guide.
So second, third, like you have a plan.
I have a whole plan.
Love it. And this is on the way. I assume you can't give too much away.
No, I'll give everything away. I don't hold anything back.
Then let me hear. Yeah, give me 1, 2, 3.
Here's the thing. I don't hold anything back. I don't. What is it? Gatekeep.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't gatekeep anything. I'll answer any question, tell you everything that I have, and the best stuff ever, because I know that the guys who are looking for actual coaching or they want to get courses and stuff, all that stuff is just a way to. Well, if you want to get like one of my courses, just a way to organize it all. So you don't, the value in like a course is it teaches you everything from beginning to end instead of having to piece it together on podcasts or reels and TikTok.
For sure.
And coaching is like, that's accountability. You're investing in accountability and more personalized advice. But
absolutely.
Anyway, okay. So first date, I have a first date, second date, third date. It doesn't have to go this way. If it doesn't, it's not the end of the world.
Sure.
But first date, generally like a drink or if you don't drink alcohol, like a mocktail. So
is that just like a sober drink?
It's a non-alcoholic beverage that looks like a cocktail.
A mocktail. Okay,
Yeah.
you can get this? Like you could get like a.
They're actually very popular these days.
Oh my God!
Because,
all right.
There's a whole anti-drinking, pro marijuana movement.
Yeah, dude, I'm on a dry January right now, and it's not going. This stinks. I hate being on dry January.
So it's wet January.
No, I've been dry, but I'm feeling it. I'm like, I need to get back out there.
So get a mocktail.
Get a mocktail. Yeah, dude. So what is it? Does it taste like whatever cocktail you're ordering?
It's like a sugary drink.
Oh my God, no. Mocktail. We drink by, dude. We drink by. They're sponsored by the podcast, not yet, but they're going to. But yeah, okay, mocktail. So you go out, you get some mocktails.
You don't have to get them out. You can get a cocktail.
I'm just saying
because I get the whenever I say like, oh, get a drink, you get people who are like, well, what if you don't drink alcohol? That's fine. Get a mocktail. The reason why I say that is because
not a cocktail. Get a mocktail. Yeah.
So the reason why I say it is because on a first date, a drink is like it's a datey romantic atmosphere.
Sure.
Versus, I'm also not against a coffee as a first date too. Not the best first date, but if you're, you might be a guy who's getting a lot of dates. You might have to throw a couple coffees in there, and it might.
They could double up kind of situation, like one girl in the afternoon.
Yeah.
That's a great problem to have.
Yeah. Or you just don't want to get mocktails 5 nights a week.
That's very true too. Yeah, all that sugar's adding up.
So you get a coffee.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a nice easy in, easy out. It's a drink. And maybe you get a couple snacks or bites to eat at the place that you're getting the drink at. Sure. That's fine. And
is this, to just jump in real quick, is this based off the girl on what kind of place it is? Or do you have obviously you're not going to take her to a sports bar, but you don't always want to take her to like a hotel bar or something like
if you can help it, I would go to like a nice lounge.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I would go to a place that's, dimly lit, it's like a cocktail lounge. Place that is known for their cocktails.
Perfect.
And
or mocktails, yeah.
If they're known for the cocktails, they're going to have mocktails.
They're known. What if they're known for their mocktails? The best mocktails in the city, which
Great.
is we don't do cocktails too well. We too much booze in there.
Yeah, instead it's just sugar.
Yeah. All right. So date 1, cocktails, mocktails, lounge.
Most will be. I'm just saying that helps create the vibe.
Yeah. You text. She texts back. You don't have to double text. You get that second date.
Yes.
What's that second date look like?
Second date, you could do dinner.
Okay, dinner. And again, how expensive of a place are we looking?
I leave that to mostly to your discretion.
Cool.
If you're a very wealthy person and going on multiple $200 dinners per week works for you, why not?
But you don't have to like impress. It just
No, you
whatever
don't
you're
have to.
comfortable with.
I also wouldn't take her to Applebee's.
Yes,
You know,
true.
so we don't want to take her to Chili's and Applebee's.
Yeah.
So I would take to a place where, I mean, listen, you're going to drop like $100 easily.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
even
no
with mocktails,
Even
you're going to do $100.
Dear
You
God,
might even get
yeah.
up to $200. It just might happen. I don't know,
mocktails.
but yeah, you have to look in your, and you know, there's definitely places that are. I don't know what the terminology for it. It's not fast casual because that's like Chipotle. I mean like maybe slow casual.
Fast casual. That's like Chipotle.
Yeah,
that's
we
great.
need slow casual. So it's like okay,
Yeah.
the place is known for their like good food,
Yeah.
but it's not insanely expensive. And you know you're dropping I don't know $75, $100 at the end of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Question here. So the guy is always the guy, the one dropping the money on these first 3 days.
Yeah. Is there ever the girl paying first? I was watching a live feed from you, and they were not. They're like the guys traditionally paying. They're always
Yeah.
paying. I'm not. They go. Maybe I'll fake reach.
Guys should pay for the first date,
Okay.
but I have a different reasoning than why most women think it is. I don't think guys should pay because women are like deserving of it. You know, it's
Sure.
like there should be an equal balance. Like she's not. I don't want to put her on a pedestal, and that's why we pay.
Yeah.
Right? We pay because it's just the masculine thing to do, and it's going to be more attractive in the long run.
There you go.
It's just going to give you the points that you need.
Yeah. Love that. Love that. Agree. Yeah, and I'm also on the side of paying for it in the sense of, again, the old school way of just doing it, I guess, and I think that falls under the masculine thing, is that's just what the guys, I don't know if there's gender roles anymore, I don't want to get canceled, but a guy paying for the first date and just being the provider and stuff like that
Yeah.
it's a signal of it. So it's a small one of, obviously, just this is dinner, nothing crazy. You're not buying her a house, but it's a good, first start that I can, provide, and, you're not going to have to like worry about anything moving forward with it. But yeah, I do agree. Like not every date from there on out is going to be paid by me, or like every dinner. I guess at one point comes dinner.
It might be, but you hope that she, chips in. I remember there was this one girl that I was, I guess, dating. We went on maybe like 5 or 6 dates.
Cool.
She never even she never reached for the bill.
Yeah.
And she never said thank you. And I was just, I don't even know how I even kept going to 5 to 6 dates. It was just crazy. But if any women are listening or watching, don't be that person. At least attempt it.
Yeah. We got, it's not a strong female fan base, but yeah, we got a couple out there that are my mom and
Well, tell if your moms are single, tell them to to at least do a reach.
Yeah, that's the reach is great. Not saying.
No, you're gonna like no, I got it.
Yeah, you guys always say I got it.
Yeah, no worries, I got this. I'll take care of it.
Not saying thank you that's even wilder.
That's pretty. I think that's a red flag.
That hard red flag. Yeah.
Yeah, red flag. She doesn't say thank you, and you can be at least maybe she doesn't say it in the moment, but if she texts you that night and says thank you, fine.
Sure.
But if you're not getting the thank you,
then that's not someone you want to be with. Yeah.
No, you're probably with someone who's entitled or
yeah.
I don't know.
What? So the third date, last date is this. Now we know what comes with a third date typically in like the society norms or whatever. Not society norms. So back in like, what the hell am I saying? Social norms? What's the word for this? I'm not.
What, 3-date rule?
Like, I feel like the third date is when sex comes. That was the joke I was going for the bit. But I couldn't think of what to call that.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but you are right.
He's like, you're not making any sense, and I don't think you're. Yeah. Let me just take it from here. Yeah. Tripp, what's the third date look like?
Okay, so the third date is definitely a time when women will say, okay, this is on the third date, they might end up saying yes to sleeping with the guy.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee, but that is what you're referring to.
Sure.
Now, the third date is dinner at your place.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
In private, this is at your place.
Yeah, you invite her over to have dinner at your place.
And you're cooking, or
you should cook, yeah.
And
You could order in if you wanted to, but cooler if you cook.
cooler if you cook.
Yeah.
Are you?
You're not ordering at Applebee's.
How do you feel about being Are you like good with food?
No, I'm terrible. I'm terrible.
Yeah, I feel like most guys aren't great.
I can cook a meal, and if I
Sure.
follow a recipe, it will do fine. But
Yeah.
I'm not.
Do you have a meal that's like a great third date meal?
I got a tip for it.
Oh, a tip for the meal?
Yeah.
Like stay light kind of tip? Yeah, I mean, a tip. What's a tip?
Yeah.
You charge her.
So yes, definitely stay light. You don't want like a heavy chili.
I did not. Out of everything I thought you were gonna say, I don't know why heavy chili was. I was not ready for that. Yeah, no, not a heavy chili. Probably
a fish doesn't hurt. I don't know. It all depends. She could be a vegetarian, so
sure.
Some sort of vegetarian dish.
Yeah.
But here's my tip. I just came up with this one recently. This is a very relevant tip.
Okay.
So
I don't.
You know ChatGPT?
I do.
Okay. Have you ever used ChatGPT?
For work only, yeah. Nothing personal with it.
Okay. So you can use it also to come up with really great recipes.
Sure.
So I typed in the other month, I was like, all right, I want a really fancy recipe, but I want it to be super easy and not that expensive.
Type that in.
I typed that in.
Okay.
So I was like, hey, ChatGPT, give me a recipe that's Michelin star quality.
Yeah.
It's easy to make. It's not too expensive. I was more just curious to see what it would come up with.
Sure.
And it gave me a baller recipe.
Really?
Yeah.
For?
It was for scallops.
Scallops.
And it wasn't super easy, but it wasn't hard.
Okay.
You just have to be sitting there paying attention to making it, and you're following the steps.
Sure.
But it wasn't like a lot of crazy technique or anything.
And pretty clear steps from Chat.
Yeah, very clear steps. And I made it, and it was amazing. And I said, wow, every guy should do this.
Yeah.
They should go into ChatGPT. They should type in exactly what kind of meal they want, whether it's chicken or if it's beef or it's
heavy chili.
You know, maybe they can ask ChatGPT to make it a light chili.
Yeah.
Actually, probably could. They probably use turkey instead of beef. I don't know.
There you go.
Anyway, you could do that, and then you practice the recipe, do it a few times.
Yeah.
And then when she comes over, you make it's going to be an interesting impression. She's going to be like, "Are you a chef?" And really, you only have one recipe under your belt.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Now, are you telling her this is ChatGPT's recipe, or is this Tripp's turkey or something like Tripp's turkey chili? Or something?
You could just say it's a recipe that I mean, you can say you just found it. Whatever.
I would say I came up with it. I would be like, I just saw it. I looked, eyeballed it.
Well, you know, and then
a little butter on it,
and then you have no follow up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the next date's the heavy chili.
Back to ChatGPT or YouTube. Yeah. That's hilarious. That's a great third up.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You say you practice the recipe because you want to show that you have skills, you're kind of the perfect guy, right? Do you think that there's not anymore this kind of stories that were like, oh, the first time we went out, he burned the half of his house and that was funny, now we've been married for 20 years. Do you think that's not going to happen anymore?
Yeah, there's definitely those moments that you can look back on and go, oh, that was funny. It was like, you know, but I would rather just, I don't know. How do you plan for that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, this girl's coming over. I got to burn this chicken and then we're going to be hungry and we'll laugh about it hopefully in 5 years when we're married. I'd rather just make a really good meal. And she's like, wow, that was great.
He's asking if there's any risk in the cooking.
Yeah.
That you mess that if you
room
mess it
for
up.
error.
Yeah, that if you mess it up, right?
Yeah, there's definitely room for error. You know, I mean, I don't want guys to be so cautious. Like everything I do has to be perfect. Wow, I got to make that first recipe Michelin start all this. I'm just trying to give you some tips here, but you don't need it to be absolutely perfect. Because if you're a guy who's just super cool and confident,
thank you,
and you know, are just naturally just pretty relaxed and chill and good with women, and you make a mistake, there's like, you're fine. Like it's all going to be okay, and it's not going to be the end of the world. And then, you can have those. So yes, to answer your question, there is room for error, but why not also try to, do your best? Because naturally the errors will come.
Yeah.
And you will make a mistake or do something stupid. And, we all have, and I have, and you'll continue to, and it just happens because that's how life is, and human error exists.
Yeah.
But within that, you can also at least, not have her come over and eat a heavy bowl of chili.
Yeah. John here soon, but real quick, before we send John your way, we got our signature Reddit advice. We usually do kind of a Reddit advice, and then we also do like an am I the asshole situation. This is just Reddit dating advice. We thought for a dating coach, we'll have just dating advice.
What's the other advice from Reddit you guys do?
It's called Am I the Asshole? We determine who's the asshole in the
Oh,
situation.
cool.
Yeah,
Who's
that's
wrong?
like a whole
who's wrong? Yeah.
whole chain. Yeah. So this one is called "I have a crush on a woman at my gym. What should I do?" I'm super shy around women. By the way, we're assuming that this is a male writing it. Sometimes they put M31. We're gonna guess this is a male. I'm super shy around women. I love conversations in general, but when it comes to talking to women, I just freeze up. There's this girl at my gym. I've seen her quite a few times, and she has got to be one of the most gorgeous women I've ever seen. But tonight I had my first interaction with her. I had left my phone on accident by a machine. She picked it up and gave it to me. I thanked her. We went on about our routines before I noticed that the person she was with, I think her mom, was making a little mistake on one of the machines. So I went up and corrected them, as you do in the gym. Disagree with that, but whatever. But as I was walking up to the woman and my eyes locked, it felt magical. And I was explaining to them how to get the most out of the machine that she was looking down. Then she started looking down. Maybe she was like embarrassed. Now I know I shouldn't have a crush on for such a small interaction, but I can't get her out of my head. I tried looking for advice online, but all I came across was women saying how uncomfortable people hitting on them at the gym is. I really don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. I completely appreciate that the gym is a place for self-improvement and not that kind of stuff. But I would love to get to know her. I'm really inexperienced in this area of stuff, and I'm not sure what to do. Any Tripp advice would be great. It doesn't say that, but I thought that was good at the end. I kind of think on my feet on the podcast like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
You should. You're a comedian.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. So
well,
there we go.
I should get clever and like have a name for the type of question this is.
Sure.
There's questions because I have a podcast, right? How to talk to girls, and
How to
people
Talk to
do
Girls.
write in and ask their questions very similar to this. Like, okay, there's a situation, blah 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 blah, and so I have an answer for this guy. What was
Yep.
the actual question?
I think the question he's trying to get at is
What
this
do I do
okay?
now?
It kind of feels like I think that's what he. Yeah. What should I do? Is like how does he follow up with it?
Oh, how's it follow up?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
The question is because it's a gene crush and he doesn't want to approach him.
Yeah.
exactly.
He doesn't want to look creepy.
No,
Yeah.
right. So it's like that's not his problem.
Okay.
Like, there's another problem.
Which is?
Well, you can hear what he's saying. He's very inexperienced.
Yeah.
So he needs. Yeah, we can give him, and I will give some advice for this guy in this specific situation.
Yeah.
But he really needs more advice on how to get better at interacting with women. Because I can tell him this.
Yeah.
And maybe I give him the best answer in the world. It's not going to get him that far in life.
Sure.
Like he needs to be
It's a great
talking to
point.
more women. He needs to get more comfortable with women, and he probably needs to not be hitting on women at the gym. I
Yeah.
don't really love that idea for guys. If it happens supernaturally, like in this case, and it's like, okay, it just kind of happens, great. But it's just not the place to be meeting women. It's the place for
agree.
you to go work out. And I'm not even saying that because it's like, all these girls going to be creeped out. Like maybe some will, maybe some won't. More so just because why are you making it so hard on yourself?
Yeah.
But like, oh, how do I want to learn how to meet girls at the gym. It's like, wow, okay, so you're just like starting on hard mode.
Yeah. That's not the. Yeah. You're running before you're walking.
Right. It's like,
Situation.
why not just meet women in an environment where they're so much more receptive to you?
Yeah.
So that's some of my advice would be, we have to fix some of these issues
Core issues.
before, more of the
Yeah.
core issues. But to answer his question, well, again, this is another thing. It's like we're trying to fix a problem that he created in the first place. It's like, hey, I screwed up. What should I do? It's like,
Yeah.
well, you shouldn't have done any of that shit. Meaning he should have just asked her out right there and then.
Yeah.
Now he's coming in not super confident. He could have easily been like, after the conversation, I think they had a conversation, right? He could have
Yeah.
just said like, hey, you seem cool. Why don't I grab your number? We can grab a drink sometime. Or a mocktail.
Or mocktail.
So he could have just done that, or not, because maybe he shouldn't do that. I don't know. Does he
Yeah.
see that girl all the time at the gym? I don't know. Maybe he does. And if that's
not by what he said. He said it felt magical this time. Like
this
felt like-
time.
I think it was the first time. That feels like a first time.
yeah, or maybe he sees her all the time, and now finally the magic has happened. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like this is
Yeah.
your gym. So now if you ask her out, she might say yes. She might say no. If
Sure.
she says no, now you're gonna have to see her every day. How are you gonna
Yeah.
handle that? You gonna be cool with that? You gonna be cool with going to the gym? It's like the same advice I give like coworkers. Like, oh, you want to hit on your coworker? What happens if she says no? You got to deal with that. What happens if she does say yes? You go on a few dates
Yeah.
and then doesn't work out. Now you're going to see her at the gym. Okay, now you have to get a new gym. It's just like a whole hassle.
Yeah.
And you're making this hard on yourself. Stop meeting women at the gym. Go to a better place.
I agree. I think the core issue here that we're not talking about is don't go up to people at the gym when they're working out. I don't care if somebody was just doing like the worst workout method ever. Don't let them do it. Let them be in their area. You work out on yourself. I don't like these guys that go up to someone and it's like, it's actually like this. That's not, just stay in your lane, man. By the way, it doesn't say anything that if maybe she was like, okay, thanks, dude. And like it was like, get the hell out of here. I mean, it sounds like he just kind of was creepy with her. Again, the magic in the eyes is what's kind of got me. I don't know. I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, because he's
tired.
This is like most guys. They're in scarce mode. So
yeah,
you know, this guy, like most guys, don't have a lot of options.
Sure.
So it's like you go to the gym, you see a cute girl, see her again, see her again. You start fantasizing about her, and you start building this crush. You start building up who she might be, and you're just so focused on this one woman, and it blinds you to all the other women you could be dating.
Yeah.
And also, why are we putting a girl on a pedestal? Because she's look at this. All because she's like cute. He knows nothing about her. This girl could be red flag. She could be one of those girls who doesn't say thank you after the first date.
Reach.
Right? It doesn't even do the reach.
Reach, man.
Right. And he's gotten to the point. I'm not bashing him. I'm not trying to put him down, but I'm just explaining the reality to the fact that where it's like he's using the words magical, and now he's on Reddit.
Yeah.
And now here we are, posting this.
He'll see this. Don't worry.
Again, I'm not saying like this. Yeah. Like, hey, you pathetic loser. You shouldn't be even asking this question. It's just this is what guys go through, and we shouldn't have to go through this if we're doing it right. And to do it right, you need to be having more interactions with women, finding places to talk to them and approach them, whether it's like online or somewhere else, not the gym, not your office and where you work.
Yeah. And you know where they can get the confidence to go do that? TripAdviceCoaching.com.
That is true.
Absolutely. Check out his YouTube, his Instagram. You got X, Twitter? Do you do that at all?
I'm everywhere.
He's everywhere. He's on probably MySpace. Yeah. Podcast, How to Talk to Girls, which, again, we got to come up with a catchy name. I mean, that's a sentence. A sentence.
Yeah, the podcast is a sentence.
Which, you know what probably comes up when you Google. If you Google anything, how to talk to, that's probably what guys are Googling. So you know what? It's coming up. I love it. Maybe we need to change our podcast. But I love it, man. Thank you for coming on. This was fun. Long time in the making for me. You actually, the first time I did comedy in Chicago, you were there, and then 2 people before I went up, you left. You headed out. It was at the Lincoln Lodge.
Oh, yeah.
Wait,
that
crazy.
was, what, 2 years ago?
2-3 years ago? Had to be. When I started
That's
comedy.
funny because they called me out. I was talking to the guy.
Is that what happened? I just
Well, how'd you know I was there?
Because I online, like I knew who you were. Yeah, yeah, I stalked you, man.
Is this even a podcast?
Yeah. No,
Am I about to get tied up?
Take the lights off. Yeah. I knew who you were from the advice on YouTube, and then
But you just saw
I'm like,
me
holy
there?
shit, that's the guy.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'm seeing a guy I've seen it on a video in real life. I'm like, oh my god, if I go up there, like I gotta start doing jokes, like because I know what he does for a career, and it's very interesting.
So I left two
people before me.
Imagine if you went up and halfway through I was like, all right, let's get out of here.
This guy sucks. This guy's horrible.
Then you would have started this whole conversation like, remember at Lincoln Lodge, you walked out, and now I'm here to make you laugh.
You piece of shit, dude. How could you?
Is a comedy show a nice place to meet women? Maybe after the show with the drinks and the bar.
I think it's a good date spot. Right?
It's probably more of a date spot. I don't think there's going to be a lot of. I don't know how many girls when they're doing a girls' night go, let's go to a comedy show.
The Nick Hannick show. I like to think they do that. I like to think like, let's go see Nick Hannick. I think he's in town. Let's go see him.
Yeah.
Which I will be in Phoenix, February 29th. So go see me then at JP's Comedy Club. I got to plug my dates too. I got business here on my end. But yeah, no. I think a comedy club is a great date spot just because we're making them laugh, and there you go. Now you got to bring it home.
I would say after third date though. Don't do it on date 1, 2, or 3 because what's the point?
Sure.
You might as well go to a movie What's the point of a movie?
That's
You guys want to be
okay.
talking to each other.
Yeah, okay. You can't. Yeah, but he meant fuck a movie. He meant come to our show. That's what he meant to say.
Oh, yeah, that's
And support live comedy is what he meant to say.
Yes.
Zanies.
So-
Yeah, I hear you. Comedy's cool, but a movie though, it's on a big screen. Fuck the comedians. Yeah.
Let me say that again. Great place to go to a date after the third date.
After the third date.
That's what you do.
That's great. Cool. Thank you, man, for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it.